What do you see?
Well, I'm not very much. I'm writing a set of poems now called Solitudes.
Right.
100 poems of solitude.
Apologies to Garcia Marquez.
Well, I have Garcia Marquez's picture right next to me. And what I see is people, you know, really confused and trying to find themselves, trying to make themselves in the immediate. They're all here. They don't see that they live in a bigger space. They miss the sky. You know, they don't see the sky. They don't. We live in Trinidad. We don't see the ocean. We are sea people. We are ocean people. We don't see it. You know. So it's just that, and it's very, very simple.
So we're caught up with things right in front of you, like the car next to you.
The car and the car, but not just the car, but the objects, the money, the thing. You know, and I'm amazed. This big meltdown, this big economic meltdown. What does it mean? What does it mean about economics? You know, what does it mean about people who have too much, who don't understand that they are connected to everybody else and that we are one, and that in fact the meltdown happened because on the one hand some people have too much and others are encouraging others who don't have very much in some kind of scam so that they could get. It is something about the object world that is being said, but we're not getting it. And you know what is going to happen? You're not going to save the planet. The planet doesn't need saving, right? The planet is fine. What is going to happen? The planet is either going to get rid of us as human beings because we don't know what we're doing, or we're going to change. And somehow that bigger picture just is what preoccupies. And Trinidad therefore becomes a small player in this bigger, this bigger universe. And the Jouvay consciousness thing is what I'm excited by, is that the Jouvay consciousness thing is what got me there. Working with a bunch of people in Leeds, working with a bunch of people on the Isle of Wight, all of a sudden I'm saying, this is the gift that we as Trinidadians have been given, to see the universe and its workings in our contemporary situation. We are, therefore, new people. We are the people. And this is the gift. It is not by chance that you have, whatever you think of Naipaul, whatever you think of Walcott, whatever you think of Lovelace as writers that Stanford University and these people are quoting, because in there, in what they're saying, in what they're doing and how they're doing it, there is Jouvay process. You know, and that is what emancipation is about. I'm sorry that we celebrate emancipation the way we do, because emancipation is much bigger. Emancipation is about the circle of the pan, you know. Emancipation is about something that's transcendental. You know, the word perform is going through form. That's what it means, going through form. We're always rehearsing for death, which is the other dimension. Death is not so bad. But emancipation should be about that. Emancipation is not just an African thing. No. You know, emancipation is, I mean, the Buddhists talk about transcendental emancipation, I discovered. I didn't even know that when I was thinking about Jouvay and talking about transcendental emancipation. The Buddhists have a term, such a term.
So you return to this, and it seems to me, I don't want to talk in mystical and religious ways.
Not religious, I'm not religious at all.
No, but you're looking at something that is truly our own,
yes.
that is in our history and therefore has been inculcated in some way in our sort of cultural DNA,
yes.
As a means of dealing with the world as a whole and everybody else, instead of dealing with all the little petty things that we walk outside
panorama,
so and so don't like me, and that one say this about me, and this one, and all this little caca thing going on. When we have all this mechanism that we've developed through the Jouvay
like take something like panorama. Take something like panorama that I just talked about. Panorama is an amazing thing. Panorama is this incredible thing that we could endue the whole world with, right? Every little village have a little drum inside. Mm-hmm. We have this little square, let me say the savannah. And every village drag their drum inside to this square. Whack the drum, brrr, all kind of nice thing come out, and they go back to the village and say, oh God, I feel good, nice, you know. Transcendental. We could imbue the whole world with that. Instead of that, we're talking about it should finish by a certain time. It went too long this year. This year it was very great because it will only run for 2 hours, just like something at the Met. No, it's something new we're doing. something new we're doing it, from Clive Bradley to Bugsy and so on. It's a whole new, that's why the carnival's taking over the cities of the world. It's a new, it's a liberation. On the one hand, it's medieval, but on the other hand, it's contemporary, it's modern.
It's the Jouvay process.
And it's the Jouvay process. It's an awakening. And what is wonderful about it is that it is clouded in kind of spiritual, mystical language, but it is secular and it's not religion. Right. It's culture,
and it's inclusive.
art. And it's totally inclusive. I mean, what I discovered is this thing, as you go through it, it explains Christ, it explains Buddha, it explains Rama and Sita, everything. And that is the incredible nature of the emancipation traditions. And the reason, and there's a good reason why it happened, because of the confluence of cultures and the way the colonial masters dealt with the situation in Trinidad, which is why it happened in Trinidad and not somewhere else. But it is Jouvay process, and it is, I've never done a workshop anywhere where people, I mean, the Isle of Wight want me to come back there too, and they, they have Victoria Carnival, Queen Victoria Carnivals and stuff. I've never done this thing anywhere where people in this gravitated, because it's not something that insists that you do Drunken Sailor or you do Wild Indian, or no, it's whatever you bring to it, bring your drum and come, right? Which is what? All-inclusive, not the kind of all-inclusive that they have in the festival, because that's a kind of all-inclusive exclusivity. That is how we once the bourgeois money people take over, they always try to clamp down on the freedom. They always try to.
The ropes have reappeared.
The ropes have reappeared. But you see, Jouvay process could deal with all of that. All the stuff that's happening in Carnival, all of that on the one hand is always Jamet. The year Poison sit down on the stage, I was clapping. I said, but look at that, eh? Nice people doing Jamet. Look at that. You cannot control the Jouvay process. You cannot control, because the Jouvay process, remember, the Jouvay process is the open dynamic, the flow of energy. What you do in reality is you then create structures. That's what the society does, create structures, create political parties to contain the energy. This is what we're doing in a play. You try to contain the energy in a particular way, marshal it in a Gene and Diner or something.
Talking about the Jouvay process and sitting on the stage and so on, I saw a recent, today actually, looking at a Dutch documentary on democracy. The interviews were in English, luckily. But they were bringing, there's a sort of gathering crisis of democracy all over the world, right?
Democracy is fundamentally a sham,
right? But exactly, it's a method of faith or whatever. Yeah. But this thing about sitting on the stage and the Jamet and the transcending from the Jamet to the universal is where democracy is in a way there, because wherever you have to enact measures of harsh measures for the finance, for example, you get a riot and the politicians back down and things get worse. In other words,
which is good, eh?
Which is good in one way, but in other words, you're not having a system where the long view is being taken.
Well, you don't have politicians and leaders with any vision and understanding.
No,
remember,
because they're watching
leaders,
the next election.
Yeah, they just want to take power, so they're out of step.
So that's what I mean about the fact that sitting down on the stage is fine, but you also need to go past that and say, well, we had to do something in the long range in the interest of the country as a whole.
True, but one of the things we do when we think about these things is we look at a situation and instead of dealing with the present and understand exactly what the present means, we start saying, well, it should go here and it should go there and it should go the other way and so on, which is again what the brain does or the mind does.
But what you are saying also, it must move from Jamet to transcendence.
You must move from Jamet to transcendence, but Jamet to transcendence is not something that you could jumbie.
No,
right?
It has to do it by itself.
Again, it is observing and seeing what comes up. We don't give enough credence to that, to simply observe. And it's what I try to get actors to do. They come and they start to do, say, no, hold on. Observe, get in the zone, see what comes up. Acting is not doing something, Acting is internal action. What is the internal action that comes up? And then let the form, which is your body frame,
inform.
Right, exactly. And so part of what I call it is finding the interior. Finding that interior.
I'm going to have to close us off there.
Yeah, well, no problem.
So find the interior, please. Thanks a lot, Tony. Join us next week for more to Eye to Eye. Good night.